A seizure doesn't announce itself. It doesn't wait for you to finish charting or for the room to be ready. This lecture is about being ready anyway, recognizing it, protecting your patient through it, and knowing exactly when it becomes an emergency. First, what a seizure actually is. It's a sudden, abnormal burst of electrical activity in the brain. Neurons that normally fire in an organized pattern suddenly fire together, uncontrolled, like an electrical storm crossing the brain. What you see on the outside depends entirely on where that storm starts and how far it spreads. A small area firing produces a focal seizure. The whole brain firing at once produces a generalized seizure. Same mechanism, different footprint. One distinction nurses need straight. A seizure is a single event. Epilepsy is the tendency to have recurrent, unprovoked seizures. Someone can have one seizure and never have epilepsy. Don't use the words interchangeably in your charting. Focal seizures start in one area. Focal aware. They stay conscious. Maybe a twitching hand, a strange smell, a rising feeling in the stomach. Focal impaired awareness. Consciousness is affected. Staring, lip smacking, confused automatic movements. They won't remember it afterward. Generalized tonic-clonic is the one everyone pictures. Tonic phase, the body stiffens. They may cry out as air is forced past the vocal cords. Clonic phase, rhythmic jerking. This is the seizure most likely to injure your patient, and the one that scares families the most. Absent seizures are easy to miss entirely. A blank stare, a few seconds of nothing, then they're right back to what they were doing, often unaware anything happened. Myoclonic, sudden brief muscle jerks, like a shock. Atonic, sudden loss of muscle tone, they simply drop. Seizure precautions. Set these up before a seizure happens, not during one. Bed rails up and padded. Bed in the lowest position. Suction and oxygen at the bedside, ready. Every shift, no exceptions. 2 rules that have been wrong in the movies your whole life. Never put anything in their mouth. Not a tongue depressor, not your fingers, nothing. You will break their teeth or your hand, and they cannot swallow their tongue. That's a myth. And never restrain the movements. You can cause a fracture. Guide, don't fight. The moment it starts, note the time. Every second of this matters later, and you will not remember precisely unless you check the clock right now. This single habit is the difference between guessing and knowing whether you're dealing with status epilepticus. Protect the head. A folded blanket or your hand underneath it, not restraint. Turn them onto their side as soon as you safely can. This clears the airway and lets secretions drain out instead of down. Clear the area of anything hard or sharp. And stay. Call for help, but don't leave them. While it's happening, watch. Don't just wait it out. Which body parts moved? Did it start in one area and spread? Eye deviation, duration. That real-time observation becomes the most useful part of your documentation, and sometimes the only clue to where the seizure started. Status epilepticus. The definition: a seizure lasting 5 minutes or longer, or recurrent seizures without the patient returning to baseline in between. 5 minutes. That's the number that changes everything about how you respond. Why 5 minutes is the line. Most seizures self-terminate within 1 to 3 minutes. Past 5, the seizure is significantly less likely to stop on its own, and every additional minute increases the risk of permanent neuronal injury. Time is brain here too. The same urgency as a stroke. First-line treatment is a benzodiazepine, IV lorazepam, IV diazepam, or IM midazolam if there's no IV access yet. The single biggest driver of outcome isn't which one you use, it's how fast it gets given. Delay costs more than the drug choice ever does. Watch respiratory status closely after benzodiazepines. They can depress breathing, especially with repeated doses. If the seizure continues after benzos, second-line agents come next. Levetiracetam, phospheniquine, or valproic acid, given concurrently, not as an afterthought. The seizure stops. Your job isn't done. This is the postictal period. Confusion, fatigue, sometimes agitation, sometimes a headache. Normal, and it can last minutes to hours depending on the seizure. Keep them side-lying, suction-ready. Reorient them gently and repeatedly. They may ask the same question 5 times. That's expected. But a red flag, if they don't gradually improve or a new focal weakness shows up that wasn't there before, escalate immediately. That's not normal postictal recovery. Case: you walk in and your patient is having a tonic-clonic seizure. You note the time, 2:14 p.m. You position her, protect her head, clear the area, and call for help without leaving her. 2:19 p.m. She's still seizing. 5 minutes have passed. This is now status epilepticus. What do? IV benzodiazepine, now. Not let's wait and see. The clock already told you what to do. Common mistakes: putting anything in the mouth, don't. Restraining the movements, don't. That risks fracture. Forgetting to time it. You cannot diagnose status epilepticus without a clock. And leaving the bedside to get help instead of calling for it. Nursing pearls. Time is the single most important thing you track. 5 minutes is the line for status epilepticus. What you observe during the seizure often becomes the only clue to where it started. And the postictal period deserves the same attention as the seizure itself. Question 1. A patient stares blankly for 8 seconds, then resumes their conversation with no memory of the gap. What type of seizure is this? Absent seizure. Brief, easy to miss, and often mistaken for simple inattention. Question 2. A tonic-clonic seizure has lasted 6 minutes with no sign of stopping. Your first action? Administer the first-line benzodiazepine immediately. Past 5 minutes, this is status epilepticus. Don't wait any longer. A seizure is loud, frightening, and over in minutes. What you do in those minutes, the timing, the positioning, the calm, is what your patient's outcome actually depends on. Next lecture, we go to the pressure that can trigger seizures in the first place: increased intracranial pressure. I'll see you there.